Hello. Big news this week. Literally just came across my desk, and Venture Conference has announced the semifinalists for their growth stage. There's an early stage group, and then there's a growth stage group. These are the semifinalists for the growth stage. More on that in a minute. Some quick stuff I just wanted to touch on. Last week, we were talking about the fashion industry in Portland, and reminded me of Tito and the work he does with Fashion Next. I just wanted to highlight that Fashion Next Portland Fashion Week kind of activity will be occurring October 9th through the 11th, I believe, are the dates. So if you're into fashion or curious about fashion and innovation around fashion in Portland, Fashion Next is the best place to find that stuff, and I will link that up. I found a better explanation of what Minimus does. Remember last week I was trying to tell you about container images, and I had no clue really what that was, but I kind of played it off like maybe I did. Well, I don't. Well, I found an explanation for you on the YouTubes of Minimus and what they do. I think I got it from their blog, actually, but I will link that up so that you have a better description of not my jibber jabber, not my inanity, but what the Minimus people actually say Minimus does and why they were inspired to start it. And then finally, before we get into the BBC news, I've been talking about Yak Tech quite a bit. Yak, I call them Yak, their online handle is often Yak Tech. They're the ones who use AI around auditing and compliance and those kind of issues. Well, it dawned on me that Shannon, the founder of Yak, is in the database of Oregon startup folks. So since I talk about Yak so much, I thought it might be nice to introduce you to Shannon. Shannon Smith is the founder and CEO of Yak Tech. Yak, a modern audit and compliance platform built to streamline and automate the audit process for accounting firms and their clients. A certified information systems auditor, CISA, with over 8 years of experience in the audit and compliance industry, Shannon knows firsthand the inefficiencies, burnout, and spreadsheet overload that plague auditors. She launched Yak to fix that. Her unique blend of audit expertise and technical fluency, she holds a degree in accounting with a minor in computer science, equips her to build tools that auditors actually want to use. Yak's platform eliminates the need for disjointed spreadsheets, endless email threads, and time-consuming manual processes, helping firms complete audits faster with higher quality and less stress. So now you know Shannon, the person behind Yak. And if you would like me to share your profile with the folks here and folks who read Silicon Florist and all that kind of thing, make sure and submit your profile. You need to be from Oregon or Southwestern Washington, but you don't need to be a founder necessarily. You could be a vendor or an early hire first employee, or you could work in a company that used to be a startup or is still kind of a startup. This is really just designed as a database of people who are interested in connecting with and supporting the startup community in Oregon. So if that's you and you would like your profile to potentially be featured, please submit your profile to Oregon Startup folks. I will link it up so that you can do that. Now, on to the big news. Bend Venture Conference, or BBC, as it's affectionately known. So I had my script was all done. I was psyched. I was like, I've got my stories. I know what I'm going to talk about with you today. I know what happened during the week. And lo and behold, bloop, email pops into my inbox. Bloop, and it's from our friends at BBC. And they're like, hey, we wanted to let you know that here are the semifinalists for the growth stage. I'm like, well, that's pretty big news. I should share that as the big news on the weekly recap. So here we are. I've totally revised the script to include all of the companies that are semifinalists. Now, there is some nuance here. They're going to reduce this list, but these are the folks that they're looking at as potential folks to take the stage in the growth stage category at Bend Venture Conference. There's also an early stage category. I haven't heard about those companies yet. And then every once in a while, there's like a wild card almost position in the early stage where they have a bunch of people pitch and then they pick their favorite and that company gets selected or something. But anyway, these are the growth stage companies. Some of them have been at BBC before. Some of them have walked away with the big check at BBC before at a different stage. So I am going to read off the semifinalists. These are not the folks who are going to make it on stage, but they might. So I would just like to let you know who has the potential to be competing in BBC for the big check. So the growth stage gets the bigger check, but physically it's still the same size of check. It just has a larger number on it, if you get what I'm saying. Okay. Here we go. These are the companies that have made it into the semifinals. AirBuild out of Portland, Oregon. AirBuild creates modular, self-powered systems that capture carbon, purify water, and turn waste into biochar. Bold Reuse out of Portland. Bold Reuse reduces costs and waste from single-use packaging through reusable packaging systems. A Bold Reuse is critical infrastructure for the circular economy, and I believe you might have heard about them recently because they just signed a deal with some stadiums in Seattle, I believe. Carbon Bright out of Bend, Oregon. Carbon Bright uses AI to automate product sustainability assessments, enabling brands to cut emissions, meet regulations, and scale eco-design. Datafy is out of Seattle, Washington, making people smarter at work. I could stand to be smarter at work and in life in general. But I digress. They're building the information channel at work where everyone gets the data that matters most to them. Marine Situ out of Seattle, Washington. Marine Situ provides marine infrastructure monitoring through their AI software platform, preventing costly interventions, saving time, and increasing efficiency. Photon Marine, they've won at BBC before. They've been at BBC before out of Portland. Photon Marine is building the world's most capable electric fleet. Rapta, Tigard, Oregon. Rapta supercharges U.S. manufacturing by increasing capacity 30% through eliminating 98% of errors and accelerating workflows 10x faster. Lots of numbers in that one. And finally, Stira, who you may have heard of winning local pitch competitions recently. I know I mentioned them a few times, along with Yak. I mentioned a few times. Stira, I mentioned a few times. They won the West Side pitch, I believe, and I believe they were just the Angel Oregon Tech winner of that check as well. Now they're taking the stage at Bend Venture Conference in the growth stage. And to remind you what Stira out of Portland does, Stira is a specialized SaaS solution designed to help organizations effectively manage the complexities of government-regulated leaves of absence for employees. So there you go. So again, Bend Venture Conference happens mid-October. I'm spacing the 17th is what October 17th is one of the dates. I can remember that. I can't remember if it's the 16th and 17th or 17th and 18th, but it's that Thursday and Friday around October 17th in Bend. It's a couple days. There's a big kind of happy hour get together networking thing, and then a bunch of pitches and presentations and voting and prizes and those kind of things. And so a good couple days in Bend. If you are interested in attending, I believe tickets are still available. I don't think we're still in the early bird, but we may be. I don't know. I clearly don't do research before I do this stuff. I just talk about stuff going on. Really, I'm just trying to make it interesting enough that you go along your merry way and figure out the real details of these things. But I will be there mid-October in Bend. So I would be happy to hang out with you and see you there if you decide to make the trip down to Bend Venture Conference. And of course, congratulations to all these semifinalists. I can't wait to see who's selected to take the stage at BBC this year. Okay, speaking of big startup-y kinds of events, October is often the time for the Built Festival as well, but this year it will be happening in September 19th. So if you are part of the consumer products industry in Oregon, Built Oregon, an organization I helped co-found, is really focused on being the voice and champion of consumer products in Oregon. And by consumer products, what exactly do I mean? Well, I mean things like food and beverage, apparel, footwear, beauty, like objects that consumers purchase, and that, Oregon tends to be really, really good at building those kind of companies. You may have heard of a few of them, like, Nike and Tillamook and Dutch Bros and things like that. So those, I always like to mention that regardless of how you feel about billionaires, the only billionaires in the state of Oregon come from consumer products. They're not tech billionaires. They're consumer products billionaires. We do really well with consumer products. As my co-founder, Mitch Doherty at Built Oregon, used to like to say, I sometimes don't phrase it the way he phrased it. I can't remember whether he said Bay Area or Silicon Valley. But the way Mitch used to say it is, like Oregon is like the Bay Area of consumer products. Like there's more knowledge per square foot around consumer products in the state of Oregon than anywhere else on earth. And if you're building a consumer product, this is a great community to be part of. And there's tons of support, peer mentorship, expert mentorship, all those kind of things. Once a year, we bring the whole community together to celebrate that at the Built Festival. So that's happening September 19th at the Red on Salmon Street in Southeast Portland. It's a most of the day event, I believe, and then we'll follow with like an after party if you'd like to attend that as well. But again, tickets are still available for that event. There's a number of interesting speakers who are taking the stage. Jocelyn Rice will be joining us again as the MC and hosting the entire event. So if you're part of the consumer products community in Oregon, if you would like to be more closely aligned with consumer products in Oregon, even if you just support or are happy that consumer products companies happen to grow and thrive here in Oregon, please consider attending the Built Festival, September 19th. Second startup event I wanted to mention, I'm headed down to Eugene on Friday for a University of Oregon oriented startup event. I will report back to you on that next week. I don't have a lot of details. There's some facilities we're going to get to tour, and we're going to learn a little bit more about the programming and their kind of strategy and plans down there. So hopefully some interesting stuff I'll be able to report back to you, but I'm always psyched to get the opportunity to visit other communities, see what they're doing, especially in Oregon, and just get a better feel for how people are supporting innovation and startups throughout Oregon. So heading down to Eugene, more on that next week. So that's kind of my second startup event that I want to mention. Then my third startup event doesn't even have until 2026, but you got to get on it right now. And that is South by Southwest. South by Southwest annual gathering, Austin, Texas, started as a music festival, then expanded to be South by Southwest Interactive, which kind of became the startup-y tech kind of aspect of it. And then they also have movies and education and all kinds of things that happen down there. But if you are in tech and you have a startup that you would like to showcase at South by Southwest, they give you an opportunity to do that called South by Southwest Pitch. Now, the challenge with South by Southwest Pitch is there's an application fee. And so, founders are always looking to save money. And if you want to save money on your application fee, you've got to act right now because there's still the early bird application fee for submitting your application to South by Southwest Pitch. I'm one of the judges. Hopefully I'll get to see your application come through. I've been judging there for like a century. I think I've been helping with it now. I love the program. I've always been happy to help. Huge fan of South by Southwest, and I hold a lot of good memories about South by Southwest. So if that sounds interesting to you, if you're working on something that you think would benefit from being on stage at South by Southwest in front of, I believe, 3 billion and 2 people attend South by Southwest every year. And so if that would be helpful for you to be on stage and to tell people about what you're building, you might want to apply. And as I said, I will look forward to seeing your application come through and considering it and being like, oh, maybe that's pretty cool. Maybe people should see that, and kind of giving some good votes and some stars and some thumbs up and that kind of thing, and see if you can get on stage. There are a lot of judges. I mean, I'm one of probably hundreds of judges, but if I like what you're doing, I will let folks know that you're working on something interesting. So if that seems interesting to you, submit your application. Even if you don't make it in, your application fee can go toward purchasing a South by Southwest ticket. So even if you don't make it in, you can still attend South by by leveraging that money you're paying for the application fee. So hopefully it all works out. And then maybe we can run into one another down at South by down in Austin. We can get some barbecue or a Shiner Bock or something. I don't know. Anyway, South by Southwest pitch. What you're working on is cool enough to make it on stage. Trust me, just apply. Get your application in. Just get that done. I think the early bird ends next week. Might be next week. So do it this weekend. Just work on it. Just get it done. It doesn't take long. Put it in there. It's probably information you've already got. So just apply to South by Southwest pitch. I will look forward to seeing your application come through. And then I will look forward to seeing you on stage down in Austin in March of 2026. Okay, that's it for this week. I mean, episode's pretty short. It's quite a week, between Labor Day, making it a short week, kids going back to school, all you parents, I hope you survived the back to school thrashing and stuff. I know that wreaks havoc with your schedules. So and this is probably a pretty taxing week for you, getting back into that grind of kids going to school and how work is affected by that and all that kind of thing. So I hope you're doing okay. Everybody else is gone. It's just you and me. So thanks for staying. Thanks for putting up with this. Thanks for listening to me. I wanted to share a few secrets like I always do. Just kind of talk a little bit more about what I've been seeing or what I've been going through. This last week, I had the opportunity to catch up with a bunch of people, some randomly, like some planned. Like I got the opportunity to grab some time with Luke Knies, the founder of Puppet. Got to hang out with him for a while and then wound up running into him again. Randomly ran into William Henderson, who was the founder of Ride Report. And you may remember, if you're a longtime Demolicious fan, way back, Knock was an app he built, Knock to Unlock, where you can knock on your phone and it would unlock your computer. That William Henderson, I believe he was one of the co-founders of Peacock, which became Business for a Better Portland and finally became Better Portland as well. So ran into him. That was nice. Got to chat with him a little bit and then got to spend some quality time with Matt Ellis, the founder of Cloudability, which is an alum of Pi, the program I helped build way back in the day. And Matt had a successful exit and is working on a new startup. And it was just good to catch up with all those people and see what they were doing. And then for my kind of pure mentorship, just helping people think through things, Faris Mubarak at NetSpace invited me over to the new space and showed me what was being built there. And then we spent some time just talking through some of the things he's thinking about doing with NetSpace that are very exciting. And I was trying to be both objective and helpful and critical in a way that I hope was helpful. I don't know. I just sometimes I get a little cranky about things. I have opinions about people working in spaces and helping startups and helping founders either succeed or stop doing what they're doing. I'm fairly opinionated on that kind of stuff. I really love founders. I really love entrepreneurs trying to start things, but that doesn't mean I am not honest with them. And I try and be equally honest with startup support organizations. So, I feel I'm obligated to be honest with them about my perception of what they're building, but also in a way to help them not naively go into a situation that has a large potential to not work the way they want it to work or to fail completely. So try and be as honest as I can. I always appreciate the opportunity to hang out with folks, and I'm really excited with what's going on with NetSpace. The space is huge. I couldn't visualize what 11,000 square feet looked like. It's big, and there are people all over the place, lots of good energy. I don't know if you walked into the old NetSpace before, but it was always the most recent old NetSpace space. It was always, you kind of came in that side door and you kind of felt like you were kind of sneaking in, and then you went up the elevator, and then you kind of wound up in this lobby, and it was a very kind of corporate lobby, and there was just there was some friction in getting into Space before. Now, I mean, apart from security measures, like you walk into Space and you see the whole thing. Like you come off the elevator and you just boom, you're in the middle of it. So anyway, I know they're going to be programming a lot of events. So if you're interested in seeing Space, I'm sure they'll always do a tour. But I mean, if you're interested in seeing Space in action, consider attending some of the events they're throwing there. Could be a good way to just check it out, see what's what. But I was impressed, and I'm glad they made that move. And of course, they're right there on Pioneer Courthouse Square, so they've got a great view and all these kind of things. Just it's nice to see people rethinking the way people work with one another, and I appreciate Boris for inviting me over and hanging out with me and chatting about what he's hoping to accomplish. So cool. So that's it. That's it for this week. If you have kids in school, again, I hope you survived this week. Hang in there. And until we get the chance to chat again, please keep up the good work. Bloop.